Tableside Talk. My name is Cam Kelly. I am a commercial real estate associate with the Langer Commercial Group, and to my right is Evan Langer, our principal and founder.
Hi everyone. As Cam said, I'm the principal and founder of the Langer Commercial Group. I am also a 37-year veteran of the commercial real estate industry, mostly but not all in the greater Washington, D.C. and Baltimore metro areas. Formerly, I was the head transactional attorney for the eastern half of the U.S. for a publicly traded REIT, but I have been doing mostly brokerage for the last 15 years. So a lot of experience, seen a lot of different things pop up, and would like to have these tableside talks so I can share some of my experience with you. And what are we talking about today, Cam?
Today we'll be talking about rents versus occupancy costs. I know you've mentioned this before. When someone's considering leasing a space, not only should they consider what the rent is, but they also need to take into consideration the occupancy costs for a particular space. So I was hoping you could speak to both of those terms and discuss the relation between the two.
Sure. So the first thing I think of is that years ago I used to teach to beginning brokers something that I called Leasing 101. And I had 3 fictitious properties. They were each $30 a square foot in rent. And so I just asked people, so which one's the better, better spot for me? And they all said, well, they're all the same. It's like, well, they really weren't all the same. Rent-wise, this is one aspect of occupancy costs, because you don't want to just know what your base rent is. You want to know what you're going to be paying. How much is it going to cost you to be in a particular space? So we have types of leases that are called triple net. And so in addition to the $30 of base rent, the tenant has to pay their proportionate share. If they have 10% of the building or shopping center, they have to pay 10% of all the real estate taxes, all the insurance that the landlord carries, all the common area maintenance, the management, the cleanup, the snow removal, the repairs on the common area, and things along that line. And then we've got on the other end of the spectrum something that's called full service or gross lease, more common in office settings, but at least for the first year, you don't pay anything other than that $30. And then after that, you pay your proportionate share, but not on all the taxes or insurance or common area maintenance, just the amount by which those go up over what they were in the first year. So it's much smaller. And then in the middle, you've got something called modified gross, which means you're going to pay your base rent plus some. So you can see even in just the rent, there's a disparity. And then I have seen, on the retail side, I've seen triple net costs as low as $5.50 per square foot per year, and as high as over $20. So just to make the math even, if you got one that's $30 a square foot and has a $5.50 per year initial triple net cost, and you've got another that's $30 per square foot per year but has $20.50 as the triple net cost, then in reality, despite the fact that the base rent is the same, you have a $15 per year difference in the cost of renting one space over another. Certain other things that go into occupancy costs are build out, which means you go look at a space. Normally, it's not exactly what you want. Might not be close to what you want. Might be an empty shell, and the building might be completely gutted. So you could go see a building where you've got to do everything. You don't like what's there. You're gutting the space, and you're going to start fresh and construct everything. Whereas you might go into another space and look at it and say, wow, this is pretty darn close to what we're looking for. We're not going to have to do much in here at all. And depending on the type of the space, restaurants can be expensive, and other certain dentist, doctors' offices can be very expensive. Restaurants, and so the difference, even if the rents are the same and the triple net costs are the same, you could be looking at tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in different costs to build out one space versus another space. Those things are enormously important. In some of the urban areas, you have really high costs to park in an office building. So if you're going to go into and even some of the, more urban, suburban areas. So say a Bethesda or a Chevy Chase or something like that in DC, you can have parking, high parking fees there. I mean, it can be $60, $80, $100 plus per space, and you've got 100 employees or 50 employees. That's a significant cost. And then you look at another building that's over there, just because they've owned it for so long or whatever the factors are, they've got a big parking lot and they don't charge for parking at all. So the parking in one could be a very significant cost. Some landlords might give you free rent or a tenant improvement allowance toward your build out. Others might not. So all these things taken together will tell you what it's costing you to rent the space that you're in. And of course, there are non-financial factors. It could just be, I love this building. I've always wanted to be in this building. This is a 5-minute commute from the CEO's house. I was in a company where that's why we were located where we were located, or any number of things that are not economic or financial. But within the economic realms, you have to look at it and say, not just what is my rent on a per square foot basis, but what are my total costs for me to be here.
Okay.
So that's the topic in a nutshell.
Okay. Are there any other things that you could think of that might be beneficial for someone to consider?
No, I think it's careful analysis. We always talk about how everything's a case by case basis. It differs by property type. It differs by whether you're in an urban location or a heavy suburban location, or whether you're more rural. It differs by age and construction of the building. So there are a lot of things that go into it, just to make sure you either know and or your professionals that are representing you know about all these things, and so you don't go into something thinking that you got yourself a really good deal and find out that, wow, that building that we thought was more expensive is really less expensive. Here's one for you. I think I've talked to you about this before, but I had a trucking company. This is in the industrial. They wanted a facility that was, I think, 5 miles further away, because the rent was $2 a square foot different. And they thought, well, we're going to take that building there. It's a little further, but it's $2 a square foot, and the money adds up, and they were taking a decent sized space. But what I did was I asked further questions, and this isn't even really real estate related. So I said, what are your costs to operate the vehicles, for your maintenance, your gas, your all that sort of stuff on a per mile basis. And they gave me that figure, and I looked, and then I said, how many trips do your trucks make each day, and how many trucks do you have, and what do you pay your drivers? So, and I did the calculations. The cost per mile for all the truck trips that they were going to do, including the gas, the mileage, the repairs, the time, because it was actually an extra 10 minutes each way per driver. Say we got 100 trucks, so that's 20 minutes per trip per driver. They're getting paid for that time. There's mileage and wear and tear on your vehicles, and all those figures actually came out to be incredibly more than the rent difference. So when I brought that up, they looked at it and they said, wow, that other space really isn't cheaper, is it? And it wasn't, because you got to take all those things into consideration. So again, either you know these things, or you should at the very least have professionals on your team that understand these things and that can help you make the wisest decision for your locations. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks,
Okay.
Evan. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you, folks, and we look forward to having you join us on our next Tableside Talk.
Yes, thank you very much. And as Cam and I always say, we talk about situations generally on these sessions. So there could be something about your particular situation that makes things a little different than what we might have discussed here. We do not charge for initial consultations. If you have something you want to talk about, be it occupancy costs, rents, or be it anything else, feel free to call us. We've got time for you. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, folks. Bye.